Welcome to the Rise to the Challenge podcast. Joining me today, he's a podcast host, content creator, film director, and American Ninja Warrior finalist. It's Zach Day. How you doing today, Zach?
What's going on, guys? Thank you for having me on, Alex.
We're so excited to have you on the show to talk about your rise to the challenge. What we like to do with all of our guests is go right to the beginning. Talk about where you're from and what did you like doing growing up?
Yeah, man. So I'm from New Jersey, born in New Jersey, moved to Pennsylvania right across the Delaware River when I was like 2 or 3 years old. And I just remember when I was growing up, I wanted to be a New York Yankee. I wanted to be like just like Derek Jeter. He's actually on my wall over here. And yeah, man, that's what I wanted to do growing up. My dad put a baseball glove in my hand pretty much as soon as I could walk. And yeah, life was pretty much just all about baseball growing up until I got to high school. And then high school, for some reason, I just dropped it for some reason. I don't know why. I think it was because I was playing with high school kids. The high school coach recruited me, and I got thrown on like this big field. I was like the smallest kid out there, and so I kind of just dropped that. And it was kind of like that first big dream
Mm-hmm.
that like went south. You know what I mean? And then after that, I felt pretty lost in life after that because I didn't know who I was. I kind of lost my identity when I dropped baseball. And so my first couple of high school years were pretty tough. I had like a lot of social anxiety. Um, some people even ask me like if I even talked sometimes, you know. So, that was kind of like my biggest hardship, growing up. And then I found American Ninja Warrior about halfway through high school. And if you don't know what American Ninja Warrior is, it's the hardest obstacle course in the world. They do it in all the major cities like Philadelphia, Atlanta, and then the major one is in Las Vegas. And so I started that when I was 15 years old, just because at first my mom showed me on TV the show, and I always thought it was impossible. You know what I mean? Like she showed me, and I looked up to these guys. I'm like, these guys are crazy. I can never do that. And then I ended up trying it out when I was 15. I just started doing a bunch of pull-ups. I was running, I was swimming, just out of nowhere. And then I just wanted to build a salmon ladder in my backyard, which is it's like where you take a bar, like a pull-up bar, that's a free bar, and you jump it up rungs that are like a foot apart. So I built that and I nailed it first try. I remember like the first time I ever did it, I just nailed it. And like everyone was super surprised that I could do that, including myself. And then yeah, man, it just took off from there.
You talked about Derek Jeter being kind of that influence in your life, and I can relate to that because Derek Jeter, I have a jersey of his in my house, and I'm not even from New York, but he played
Yeah.
such a big part in so many people's lives. What was something about Derek Jeter that kind of was starstruck for you?
The first thing that comes to mind is just like his leadership. I mean, he took the Yankees to like 5 World Series, I think, in a row. I mean, he won a bunch of world championships, and he was just the star player out in the Yankees. Like that, he was everyone's favorite player. If you were a Yankees fan, Derek Jeter was probably your favorite player. And growing up, I really looked up to him. I always wore like the number two whenever I could in Little League, and yeah, I just love the way he played. I love the way he hustled.
Taking those same skills, is that what you did on the baseball field when you were playing?
Yeah, man. So my dad played a big role in that because, I mean, first of all, he's the one who introduced me to baseball. He was a Yankee fan himself, and he was the one who really taught me how to grind. How to actually go out and work for something. Um, and he made sure that I knew that it's not going to get handed to you. You're gonna have to work for this. Like I wanted to be a New York Yankee. He told me that like the chances are pretty slim. Like almost nobody makes it. You know what I mean? Like for that to happen. So he told me like how hard it was. So that's kind of the mentality I got when I was really younger, and I just applied that to other things in my life as my life went on.
You talked about in high school where people maybe thought, oh, you didn't talk. But when you were playing baseball, was that personality different? And when that ended, that's when really the change in your personality was going in a different direction. Do you feel baseball kind of brought that energy out of you?
Yeah, I think that's kind of when it happens. And I know like when you go through your early teenage years, there's a lot of changes going on. You start hanging out with new people, and when you don't really feel like you fit in anywhere, a lot of anxiety comes. And
Mhm.
like things, when you get to high school, that like there's the kids are a lot bigger. You're going through puberty, people are a lot more social, this, that, and the third is happening. So it's just like a lot to take in. And wouldn't say I've always been like a super quiet kid, but I've always kind of been a quiet kid. And then I just got even more quiet when I got to high school. And it took me a while to get outside my shell.
Do you feel if you continued with baseball, you wouldn't gotten these other opportunities, or your path would have been completely different? Do you feel that maybe going in that new direction brought a good thing for you because you got to experience a lot more that you wouldn't have been able to do?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was a fight too. Like I wanted to stick with baseball, and my parents, like I remember I went to the first baseball tryout in high school, and I completely just buffed it. And I had no idea what was going on, but I literally couldn't throw anymore. Like I used to be like one of the most accurate pitchers. I was known for being able to throw strikes in Little League, you know what I mean? And then I got to the tryout and I literally like couldn't hit my man. And I don't know why, but looking back, I think God just gave me a sign, even though it was like painful in that moment, that it's time to move on to something else because I have bigger and better skills and other things. And yeah, I think God just has a plan for all of us, even though sometimes it'll happen with struggle and challenge and all that kind of stuff.
When you were preparing for like Ninja Warrior courses at a young age, were you trying to look at people like your size, physicality, and that playing a big difference? Did you train a lot harder, or just be your natural self and perform those obstacles?
Yeah, so I mean, I started my American Ninja Warrior journey probably like I started doing stuff like that back in like eighth grade. Like I watched the show and I saw people doing flips and rock climbing and climbing this, and um, I just kind of started getting addicted to that kind of thing. I remember in eighth grade, I learned how to do a backflip, and like I went to school and I probably did a backflip like 20 times that day because everyone was just asking me to do backflips. So I kind of got a lot of like significance from that. I kind of stood out. That's kind of what made me stick out. So I kind of really drove on that, and I started doing a little bit of rock climbing, and then yeah, I kept watching the show. Really looked up to the people. I'm like, yo, actually want to try this, but there was no gyms in my area. I think the closest one was like 2.5 hours away, and there was probably like 5 gyms in the whole country, and now there's hundreds. So the only way to really practice was to build obstacles in my backyard. So that's exactly what I did, and built the salmon ladder, and I would just be out on the salmon ladder every single day practicing. And then I started going to competitions. Um, and my first competition I went to, I did really good in the practice and the warm ups, and there was a bunch of ninjas there. And after I got done with that competition, I remember me and my dad, we got in the car, and he was like, "Damn, like you're pretty good," you know what I mean? But I ended up like falling on like the second obstacle in the competition. It was a balance obstacle because I didn't know how to balance at all. So after that, I went back and I practiced balance. And I think my next competition I got fourth in. And then after that, I started winning. I started winning pretty much every other competition I went to. Like it didn't really matter who was there, the guys in the show, it didn't matter. Like when I showed up during competition, like my name was out there. Like I was trying to win every single one.
Was this at the time before like you got to the show? These were like the
Yeah.
small challenge or competitions in the local area. You mentioned you had influencers in the Ninja Warrior world. Who were those people for you?
Yeah, so some of the ones that stuck out to me, Joe Moravsky is probably the first one because he was my favorite ninja when I got introduced to it, and I saw him at the first competition. Another one would be Chris Wilczewski. He was he's the one who started the first national ninja league. It's like a league outside the show. Um, and yeah, there's a ton of others I can name. I can go on and on. Jamie Ron. There's a bunch of them, man. But yeah, I mean, I looked up to those guys a lot, but After I would say after 15, 16, 17, I was trying to beat them all. Like every competition I went to, I was yeah. So it was really cool to just kind of find myself in something, kind of fit in somewhere and have like that identity again after, I lost it with baseball.
It's interesting when you hear a lot of the stories of the athletes. They all have different backgrounds of when they start getting into the sport. And I've had previous guests where they've been on Ninja Warrior, but they all started later in their lives, where you started at a young age. Do you think that kind of helped you when preparing for that eventual being on the show? Do you think that gave you
Yeah,
an
so
advantage?
yeah, definitely. If you look at the sport now, I don't know if you follow it at all. I barely do anymore, but when I left it, the teenagers pretty much took over. And I was the best when I was probably 16, 17, 18. Because you're lighter and you don't get injured as much and you're less scared, there's less fear. Like you don't even understand how dangerous it is what you're doing. So that's a huge advantage. And you also have so much time. Like let's face it, like grown-ups that they own businesses, they have to they have families, stuff like that, so they don't have so much time. But if you're a teenager, you have all the time in the world to do whatever you want. So yeah, the teenagers really took over in the last couple of years. I think the last 2 years the grand champion was like 15, 16, 17 in there.
I want to be that young again. I
Yeah,
wish I could be able to do some of those obstacles because I think the balance, when you mentioned the balance ones, I'm like, I'm pretty good at balance, but if it's anything upper body, just drop me in the water. Like it
yeah.
ain't going anywhere. Doing the small competitions, you talked about the salmon ladder being something that you practice a lot. Is there another obstacle that was a favorite of yours? Starting.
Yeah, starting out, yeah, I mean, starting out, there wasn't that many obstacles out there that you could do, just because like the gyms weren't developed yet. So there was like the warp wall, there was the cliffhanger. Cliffhanger is definitely one of my favorites. It's like a fingertip ledge. It's like an inch and a half at the most, and you have to traverse this ledge and make jumps. And sometimes you have to do like a 180 jump and go backwards. So yeah, those two stuck out to me. But as I went on, the pegboard was something I was probably the best at. Like if there was a world record for the pegboard, I would go for it. And rope climb. Like I love climbing ropes, which is the last stage in American Ninja Warrior is a rope climb. I've done like 120-foot rope climbs before. I guess I have the body type for it, and I just have a really good technique. So those are probably my two favorite.
Did you ever think about this being a full-time career?
So the only way to make it a full-time career is really doing things outside the show. You could win the show and win the $1 million, which in return would probably be like 600,000, which would be great. Like you'd probably be set after that, not with that money, but going on and creating a gym, creating a business with that money. But yeah, I actually did create a career out of this. First, I was a ninja coach at two Ninja Warrior gyms. So I coached a bunch of kids, adults, stuff like that. And then I met a buddy at one of my ninja gyms, and we started a business where we built American Ninja Warrior obstacles or courses at people's houses. So in their backyards, their basements, and then we started doing summer camps, ninja gyms, and that really took off. I did that like pretty much right when I got out of college. I only went to community college for 2 years, and then yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I wanted to start making money. I wanted like
Yep.
a real job. So we just off the whim, like I don't know how it worked, but it worked quick, and we just started doing that, and it really took off.
Did you have your family and friends support with your dream doing all this? Or was it they were maybe asking questions on what is Ninja Warrior? How are you going to make money? How are you making day by day? Things like that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I definitely had a ton of support. One thing I will say is my dad, he actually passed away a month before I went on the show. And at my dad's funeral, I actually got the call to compete on American Ninja Warrior, my first ever season.
Oh,
Um, so yeah, I mean that was super hard. Um, but I went on that season, made it through qualifiers in Philadelphia, made it through finals in Philadelphia, and I ended up being the youngest one ever to make it to Las Vegas. So here I am, youngest one ever to make it to Las Vegas. My dad passed away like 2 months ago, and I step up on the starting block. Stage one. Now these obstacles are like they're big. Some of the obstacles are like 20 feet above water. There's one super iconic obstacle. It's kind of like you kind of like grab onto this track. It's kind of almost like a roller coaster, and you swing down this track, and then you launch yourself, and you catch another one, and then you launch yourself to a platform. And that thing's like 20, 25 feet above water. It's terrifying. Um, but yeah, I got through that. I got through that course. I remember it was the run of my life. Um, and I watched so many of my idols go out before me, and that made me super nervous. And I had like 15 family members fly in, so like I like have to perform at this point. There's a lot of pressure on the line, and I just remember like I had 5 seconds left, and that buzzer like that goes like boom, boom, and it was just going down. I was climbing this cargo net, I was totally out of breath, and I slammed the buzzer, and yeah, I think that was like looking back throughout my whole life, that was probably the biggest moment of my life because one, I kind of got my dream to like hit a buzzer on American Ninja Warrior in the finals in Las Vegas, and then two, I got to like dedicate that run to my dad, and I had like a 4BD in the back of my shirt, which is for Brian Day, which is my dad's name, and yeah, man, I remember turning the crowd. I'm like all the way up on this, probably like 50 feet in the air, and I just see the whole crowd. I just like point to the back of the shirt, and yeah, that's the moment I'll take in forever.
Did you during that time, were the cameras not even like an issue for you? Like, oh, I'm on TV. Cool. I'm here to really showcase what I can do and show people who I am as an athlete.
Yeah, I think it all adds up. I wouldn't say I was really thinking about the camera, so to speak, but I mean, you're running over water. Sometimes there's like fire shooting up out of nowhere. The lights are super bright. The crowd's there pumping you up. You got um Matt and Akbar in the commentating stand. So it all kind of adds up. It's like because I was doing normal ninja competitions in the gym, but like that is a whole nother stage. So I mean, the adrenaline rush, even when you walk up to the platform, um, your heart's already beating. Like you're pretty much already tired, if you
Yeah.
know what I mean. Because like, I mean, your heart's just pounding, and like you have to breathe more, and yeah, the nerves get to you pretty quick. I don't know if you know like what adrenaline rush is, but like your mouth gets super dry, but you get super in the moment. You get super dialed in the moment, and it's kind of just like tunnel vision, so to speak, out there.
For someone that's listening to this interview that wants to participate and go for that show opportunity, what would you tell someone to start that journey to get to where you actually got to?
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's just like anything else. Surround yourself with people that are way better than you. So first of all, find a ninja gym that's close to you. Find the best people in that ninja gym and train with them. And make sure you do the proper things like diet. Make sure you stretch beforehand. Make sure, I mean, it's a um pretty injury prone sport, so you have to really take care of yourself, but yeah, find the best people in your area and train with them. It's that simple.
Would you do anything different in your experience, or do you feel that every step you took got you to where you needed to be?
Yeah, I'm a strong believer in that. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be in this moment, and back then I didn't always think that. I would say I had a lot more of a negative mindset, like why does this kind of happen to me? But looking back, like all those challenges, the setbacks, the struggles, the heartbreaks, they got me exactly where I am today, and the person I became today.
Do you ever have those fun times where you rewatch yourself on the show or clips?
Yeah.
Obviously, there's probably clips or was NBC Peacock Network has the episodes. Do you ever reminisce on that journey?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, there's a couple things on my Instagram. I'll go back and I'll watch my stage two run or my stage one run. Um, my my run that got aired on TV, like literally national time, prime time, NBC. It's on YouTube, but it's kind of hard to watch because the background of the story is on my dad. So I watch it once in a while, but it's kind of hard for me to watch.
Did you ever think about what happens if an injury came about and your Ninja Warrior just ended? What's the backup plan? Because a lot of people they want to become an athlete, but they always don't think about that backup plan because anything can happen nowadays. Did that ever cross your mind on because you talked about that you had the businesses, you were a coach, so you had other
Yeah.
opportunities, but what happens if it was all done?
Yeah, I mean, at the time when I went on the show for the first season at 19, I think I was just a ninja coach. I was just getting in college. So honestly, no, I didn't have a backup plan. That was my life. Like I was all in on that. And, like I'm a strong believer in like just only having a plan A. And
Mhm.
you know, if plan A fails and I had that injury, then it would have just led me somewhere else. But I mean, what's the sense of thinking about it? You know, like I'm gonna go do that anyway. You know what I mean?
I totally agree. I think if you have an opportunity, you go for it. You don't want to do it at 50% and say, well, I wish I
Mhm.
did it better because your journey was a once in a lifetime opportunity. There's thousands of people that wish they had the same opportunity as you, but they don't because obviously TV shows they have a limited amount of spots. So you got one of those spots. So I think if you have that
Yeah,
opportunity, you got to go for it.
exactly. Yeah, I think plan B is it's kind of like a way out, you know?
Yeah,
And like if you have that way out, are you going to give 100% into your plan A? I don't
correct.
know. So I don't like having a plan B. You know, I'm all in on my plan A.
You mentioned a little bit a while ago about fitness and diet and things like that. Since that happened, how has fitness played a big part in your life now?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of done a lot. Like I ran a marathon probably about a month ago. I've done Tough Mudders. You know, I've worked out in the gym. I've done CrossFit. I'm kind of all over the place. I don't know exactly what I want, like what my next goal is. But like the fitness journey hasn't stopped. Like it's gonna keep going. I don't know what's next right now. Could be a triathlon. It could be boxing. I've done a little bit of boxing. I kind of want to get into that. Um, yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I'm always into fitness, always into working out, keep my body in shape.
Do you feel that you have to have that competitive fitness, like competitions and stuff, because you came from that and that kind of keeps you going? It keeps you driving.
Yeah, I mean, I think fitness is a huge part of life, and like it just applies to life in so many aspects. You know, if I'm taking care of my body, chances are I'm probably taking care of my business. I'm taking care of the
Yeah.
customers in my business. I'm like my craft, like filmmaking, I'm probably doing pretty good with that too. And like you know, when you work out your body, you work out your mind. It's not just physical, it's mental, and you just feel so much better when you're working out. Yeah, I think it's so good for you, and it's a need. I think it's a need for everybody. Not everyone prioritizes it, but I think it's definitely a need.
You talked about filmmaking, content creation. When did you first find that passion?
Yeah, so I've kind of always been creating videos just like growing up. Like I've always been that kid with the camera out, whether it was like my iPod in middle school. Like I remember in middle school, I'm just a kid where I would just get really bored. Um, so like I would literally take my iPhone out and get some friends together and we would film like pranks in middle school. As funny as that sounds, that's kind of like how it started. And then, you know, with the American Ninja Warrior stuff, you have to make a submission video. So like I remember I went all out in that submission video. And also in high school, I took like a video editing class. So that's kind of where I got like the knowledge to be able to do all that stuff. I mean, I wasn't good, so to speak. I never had like a professional background in it, but yeah, I've just kind of been making videos growing up. And then with my first business where we built the American Ninja Warrior courses, that's how we really marketed was with my videos. I got a drone, I would film with my iPhone and I would just make like highlight videos of the courses that we made. So yeah, I've always been kind of making videos. And then my business partner, he actually quit on me out of nowhere.
Oh,
And so it was like, I don't know if I want to keep doing the builds. If I wanted to keep doing the builds, I would have to find somebody else, and it really just wasn't lighting me up, because building isn't really my thing, but marketing is, right? So I was kind of like the marketer, and he was the builder. So I decided to create an online course for American Ninja Warrior on tutorials on how to do the obstacles like the warp wall, workouts, how to train your balance, mindset, all that stuff. So that is really where I got a camera, I got the audio equipment, I got the lighting equipment, and I pretty much just started winging it. And I got a film crew together, and they taught me a lot. And that's really where I got my filmmaking skills. That's where I really amped it up.
did you get a lot of like positive responses from those courses that you did?
Yeah, I thought, at the time when we did it, I thought we were the best ones for sure. Like we put in so much effort. Like for me, like I need to deliver. If I don't deliver, then I don't feel like I deserve that money. And I think
Mhm.
that's what a business, the definition of a business is a way to help people. And if I can help people and give enough value, and then I deserve the money. You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely.
When you're going out to a site or filming, what are you looking for in that location?
I'm going out to a site and filming. Well, it really depends on what I am filming. So I do a lot of brand stories for like entrepreneurs and coaches. So it really depends on what exactly they do. So say if they're an MMA coach, I'm gonna go to their MMA gym. We're gonna capture them in their element teaching. And say on the side they like to go on adventures, they like to go on hikes. So we're gonna go on hikes, and I'm gonna make sure I do it during like prime time sun hours, because you go at noon, that's like the worst time to shoot because it's so bright. So I'll probably go at like sunset or sunrise. So yeah, it's just kind of some things to keep an account for.
So the reason I ask that is in marketing, usually you can tell what's the story of what you're trying to
Yeah,
capture. And
right.
definitely from the videos that I've seen you do, you are a storyteller. You are telling a
Yeah.
story in just a short amount of seconds where, like you mentioned, the MMA entrepreneur, and you're capturing them fighting or training. We can tell what you're trying to capitalize and market to us in just a short amount of time. And that is a skill that people feel, oh, you got to go to school for. No, you can learn that just by your experiences and doing what you love to do. So definitely with marketing, storytelling is so key because you need to know what we're trying to sell and you are selling that story. With that, your videos are amazing that I've seen. I mean,
Thank
it
you.
looks like I'm literally flying over in a helicopter or something, even with the drone footage. When you see that footage after you capture it, does it make you like, okay, when's the next time I'm going to go do this? I want to go do it again. Or what can I do different? Are you always like thinking those fun ways of changing it up or mixing it up?
Oh yeah, I'm always trying to get better and just like add different skill sets and different kind of shots and all that. But yeah, you're right, like it's all about creating a story. Like people aren't going to pay attention if you don't follow that storyline. Like people want to feel an emotions. Like it's not about the video equipment that you have, or you know the lights, the camera. It's not really about that. It's what do you make them feel. you
Yeah.
know what feelings do you get when you watch that video? Do you feel inspired at the end of the video? And do you get sad, and then like it comes up and then you get inspired? So it's kind of all about that. It's all about how you make them feel and telling a story with that. And if someone has a brand or they have a personal brand, you know, they want their customers to know, like, and trust them. So
Mhm.
what better way to do that than to tell a story, to tell their story?
Creating content, what has it taught you about yourself or a skill that you didn't know you had in you?
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is patience. I don't know if people understand how much patience goes into filmmaking.
Yep.
First of all, you have to set up, you got to set up the lights and stuff like that. Sometimes that takes like an hour. People have no idea how long it takes. And then the editing process, you have to be extremely patient. A lot of my interviews are like an hour long, and I got to condense them to like 3 minutes. So I got to make sure I pick the very best spots in that interview to create the best story. So yeah, definitely patience.
I can definitely relate. I am not a patient person. I'm like, okay, how fast can I get this done? I have systems, but then it's like, it's never going to come out perfectly the first time. I mean, even when you take a photo, you're always I think when people use their iPhones, they're snapping 20 photos. They know the first photo ain't going to be the perfect one, so they're hoping
Yeah.
that it gets fixed by the 20th one. When you're having a challenging situation, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, like if someone like feels uncomfortable or there's a mistake on set, like I take full accountability for that. That's like totally my priority. So when challenges come up, I mean, just like anything else, like you just adjust and keep moving forward. I mean, it's that simple. Like as an entrepreneur and a creative, like flexibility and uncertainty is, at the top, and you got to
Mhm.
be ready for anything. So yeah, just make adjustments. Don't get in your head about it, and just move forward and make the best decision you can make in that moment.
So far in filmmaking for you, has there been a memorable moment in your journey so far?
Um, I guess the big memorable moment would be my business partner. He was actually like my first customer, I guess you could say. And we've been friends. We met through American Ninja Warrior at American Ninja Warrior Gym. And he's really been a big mentor to me over the past couple of years, even with my old business. He taught me so much. And I remember I did a couple projects for him. I was producing content, social media content for him, and I was in Florida at the time, and he just calls me up, and he's like, "Do you want to start a business with me?" And like I was like, "Damn!" Like, because this guy, I mean, he owns like 7 other businesses. He's really, really, really successful, and to partner with him, that just meant like so much to me. So I just remember getting that call, and I was like, "Wow, I feel like this is really gonna take off. It's really gonna change my life." And yeah, it was a really good moment.
So something we have in common, obviously not American Ninja Warrior finalists, but podcast hosts we are similar in. How did that start for you?
That's funny you ask. My best friend, his name's Drew. I think like this was probably like 2.5 years ago. He said like I want to start a podcast, just like out of nowhere, and we didn't really even talk about it until like a year and a half after that. And I remember I had the camera equipment, I had the mics. So one day I told him to come over and we're gonna shoot the first episode of the podcast. Literally just wing it, and like we at the time we had no idea what the podcast was even gonna be about, not even the niche, nothing. Like we are just gonna turn on the cameras and wing it. So yeah, I remember the first podcast we did. We turned on the cameras, we looked at each other, and we just started laughing because we had no idea what to do. Yeah, but and then we just winged it. It came out pretty decent. We threw it out there. We just started on YouTube. Like we didn't even have Spotify until like probably like 6, 7 months after that, and then we got on Spotify. I think we only got like 5 episodes, so we're pretty new. But what we do the most of is create content. We take podcast clips like we're doing now, and put it out on social media, Instagram, TikTok. We throw our stuff up on YouTube too, and yeah, it's called the Right Now Show. Right now, just because being in the right now is the only thing we have, and the only thing that is truly real is right now. So that's kind of why we call it the Right Now Show, but it's more like a podcast for the younger generation, people in their 20s. And it focuses on mindset, health, athletes, that kind of stuff.
I love just the theme of it, where I mean, for you being a production expert, where the camera, the light, and all that, you have a specialty in, but
Yeah,
you get to do something even more with that kind of special skills that you have. And I like that you did it around something that is passionate for you, where the title means a lot to you, similar to my title. It means so much. It's a motto that I live by, where I think a lot of people in the podcast, they do it for others. Like, what does the public want? But if you're not passionate about it, who's going to care about it also? Is there a
yeah.
goal that you have with the show? Is it a topic that you're hoping to get to, a guest, a kind of milestone? What is that vision for you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the goal is just to inspire people to be better in their health, in their lifestyle, in their mindset. And I mean, the other goal is just to have fun with it, like bring on our friends and just chat it up and have fun. But another recent goal that I had that we have with it is we all the three of us who are the podcast hosts, we just started a coaching program. Like literally this happened like last week. Not even joking. Um, so we started a coaching program. And it's all about achieving your dream lifestyle. That's you know, your health, diet, fitness, and achieving your purpose. And it's mostly for, you know, men in their 20s. So
Mhm.
that's the new goal that we're going after.
Well, speaking of that coaching business, how do you
Yeah.
try to stand out and get people to say, I trust these guys and not my competition? Because you go on social media, you go anywhere, there's thousands of people doing the same thing. But how do you try to get people to come to you?
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, myself, I was on American Ninja Warrior. I'm running marathons. We're doing things like going in ice baths. Um, my other partner, Drew, he just got done with a 50-mile race. He trained for, I don't know, 5, 6 months, 50-mile race. Jake, the other guy, he is a medical professional. He's running a marathon next week. So, I mean, at the end of the day, like we don't just talk, you know, we walk the walk. So, I mean, just showing that proof and just showing, you know, why we're doing this. We're doing this to impact and help people. You know, that's the real core why we're doing it. So I think that's what makes us unique.
I love that. I love that where you guys do the action and not just say it. Because I hate when people that tell me how to do it, but they don't know. They don't know anything about it. And I go, yeah, come back to me in a year when you try doing it and then tell me what
Yeah,
the results are. What are
exactly.
what are some personal goals for you? We've talked about your career. What are something you hope to accomplish in the next few years?
Yeah, I mean, I guess one thing about me is I just love the adventure of life and I love the uncertainty of life. I love kind of knowing what's gonna happen or not knowing what's gonna happen next. Like I kind of love that. Like I love just being curious and not knowing. Um, but I mean, some goals. That's a really good question. You know, I want to move out with my friends. I don't know where, but I mean, I like overall just me in general. I just want to impact as many people as I can with my unique skills, and I want to travel the world and go on as many adventures as I possibly can. And yeah, I just love being curious and being uncertain. That's kind of just yeah. I don't really have any specific goals right now besides with my career and this coaching business and you know the fitness challenges they're gonna pop up too. But
Yeah.
I'll kind of just take them when they come. Yeah,
Good.
are you good?
Yeah.
All right, I'm good. Cool.
You mentioned moving out. Where do you see yourself? Where would you want to live?
Um, yeah, so I'm in Pennsylvania right now. I really like Texas. I really like Nashville. I really like Scottsdale. Parts in Florida are cool. Um,
We're going
I
all over the
honestly,
map here.
I know, yeah. I mean, I travel a lot. I mean, I just like to travel in general. So I don't know. I think maybe like career will bring me there, or I'll go there, and there's just gonna be a sign. But yeah, I mean, those are my favorite spots so far. So probably one of those spots. Um, right now, I think my favorite so far would probably be Scottsdale if I had to pick.
I can see you using that drone going over the desert area. I'm already
Yeah.
picturing it. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
where can go there? You would be perfectly fine almost.
Yeah, exactly.
You talked about traveling. Now, is your like dream traveling destination completely different than those places?
Yeah, my top one on my bucket list is Hawaii, and
Okay.
then after that, I'd probably say like Greece or maybe Ireland. I want to yeah get out there for sure.
Those are some good spots.
Yeah.
Looking at your journey so far, is there something that you wish, or is there something that you told yourself at a young age that you still use today? Someone told you something to live by, and you still utilize that today.
Yeah, I mean, my dad used to always tell me, what's the most important thing? And the answer is family. So that's the first thing that comes to mind. And in like the recent years, my like the biggest quote that comes to mind, or biggest, just honestly, it's just two words. It's just keep going. No matter how hard things get, no matter what challenges or setbacks get in your way, you just got to keep going, and that's the answer.
The final question I'll ask you, for someone that's listening to this interview based on your journey and experience, what tips or advice would you give them to overcome obstacles, accomplish their goals, and rise to the challenge?
Yeah, the first thing is don't settle. Actually go after your dream,
Yep.
because I mean that's the only thing that's really going to make you happy. If you feel like you're settling and listening to some boss that you just don't like every single day, and deep down you really want to be doing something else, I mean that's going to hurt, especially when you get older. You're going to live with those what ifs, or I wish I did that or this. And then another thing would be surround yourself with the best possible people that you can. Mentors, you are the five people you spend the most time with. I know everyone's heard that. So who are those five people? And if they shouldn't be those five people, change them. And figure out how you can. I mean, pay for mentorship programs, whatever it is you have to do. If you're in fitness, go to the gym, find like the most ripped guys, hang out with them. I mean, we you just gonna like if you surround yourself with them, you're gonna get big too. And the last thing I'll say is, live right now. Like put your focus on right now. I mean, the past and the future, it's not there. The only thing you have is right now. So focus on the present moment.
Well, Zach, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show and talking about your rise to the challenge. You're inspiring so many people, and we're excited to see what the future looks like for you.
Thanks, Alex. Really appreciate you having me on.